Please work.
Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. We put kufr and shirk on blast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. We put kufr and shirk on blast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Peep this, your grave, you may be near it. Life's short, yeah, that part, so take it serious. Think twice, that afterlife should have you curious. Each week, that week's speech should have you furious. The same, all hail King such and such. You say hell, I say hell, get off is much to be desired. Khutbah should be fire, let's rouse the believers. Situations dire. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. We put kufr and shirk on blast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. We put fitna and dhul on blast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. You claim Salafiyah, we follow the Salaf in understanding, but without the branding. Allah named us Muslim, with that we stay content. No division is titles, ego's a false idol. A mustard seed of kibba can land you in the fire. Plus that his beer is fueled by desires. Question, aren't y'all tired of divide and slaughter? May Allah grant us guidance. Shout out to the martyrs. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. We put kufr and shirk on blast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. We put fitna and dhul on blast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. We put kufr and shirk on blast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. We put kufr and shirk on blast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Peep this, your grave, you may be near it. Life's short, yeah, that part, so take it serious. Think twice, that afterlife should have you curious. Each week, that week's speech should have you furious. The same, all hail King such and such. You say hell, I say hell, get off is much to be desired. Khutbah should be fire, let's rouse the believers. Situations dire. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. We put kufr and shirk on blast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. We put fitna and dhul on blast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. You claim Salafiyah, we follow the Salaf in understanding, but without the branding. Allah named us Muslim, with that we stay content. No division is titles, ego's a false idol. A mustard seed of kibba can land you in the fire. Plus that his beer is fueled by desires. Question, aren't y'all tired of divide and slaughter? May Allah grant us guidance. Shout out to the martyrs. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. We put kufr and shirk on blast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. We put fitna and dhul on blast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. We put kufr and shirk on blast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. We put kufr and shirk on blast. Amoo Yum Yum the podcast. Peep this, your grave, you may be near it. Life's short, yeah, that part, so take it serious. Think twice, that afterlife should have you curious.
Assalamu alaikum, ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to Amoo Yum Yum, the podcast, where we seek to cure the kufr infected by injecting the Islamic perspective. I am your host, Amoo Yum Yum. And with us as always, so far so good, haven't fired him yet. Our young Amir, our young Amoo, Amoo Amir, and the Amoo you love to hate, Amoo Yusuf, along with Amoo Jeremiah. He is our Amoo with good credit. We
have another Amoo. He's hidden.
We use him to buy things that we can't normally afford because of our third world status.
Because it's privilege. We have another one on the background.
And we have another Amoo. He is Amoo background.
Amoo background.
Yeah.
Musa.
Indeed. As always, before we start,
yes, we have to do the yani.
Post the disclaimer. Read the disclaimer, yeah.
The opinion of Amoo Yum Yum, the podcast, is based on Islam. Our intention are to be correct. However, we may not always be right. Others may differ in concept, but these are ours.
Yeah, that's the background noise for the hidden Amoo. No, that's
They're
not.
all like, who read that?
Hey,
Who read that? Yeah.
you guys, before the end of the podcast, please vote for the weakest reading of the disclaimer.
Yeah, the weakest one. Yeah, excellent. All right.
That was weak.
That was very weak, man. Was it because of chips?
Man.
What was the reason?
Ever since you bought them vegan chips, man, you've been acting.
Oh, you have this?
Yeah. They're not a sponsor, so don't show them.
I'm like, this is my favorite.
This is the mystery.
Yeah, how can he have it without my permission? Anyway, let's go.
Nevertheless, let's move.
Let's move on with the...
Move it. I like to move it.
We did the random. What's the random for today?
Random is delusionist.
Oh, yeah. That one?
One female delusionist. We can't say the fem word, so we say female delusionist. She said...
Oh, okay. Look at Amir's face.
On the subject of strange men harassing young women.
You want me to read it?
Go ahead, read it.
Just to make sure that they're not going to attack you. Oh, he's making up. He's not making up. No, it's true.
It is true, actually.
Yeah, it came from the Middle Eastern feminist. Okay? It says here, women protecting each other.
Sign language.
Yeah, ready? Women protecting each other. To all teen girls, if you are ever being followed or hit by a strange man when you are in public, walk towards an older woman you see and say loudly, "Mom! A strange guy is hustling me. He won't leave me alone. Every one of us has been there. We'll be there for you." So our good friend, Brother Daniel, he left a comment. Maybe he agrees with your comment too. He said, yeah, walk towards the older woman so she can be mugged and molested too.
This is Daniel Hakikachu.
Hakikachu.
Okay, anyway, we call him DH.
DH, for sure.
Yeah, he posted that comment by the feminine, the
Middle Eastern feminist group, yeah.
Female delusionist. See what happens when you destroy the fabric and the natural machinations of society, you know, where the men are the stronger, the men are the protectors, the men are the first responders, even, right?
Yeah.
So now you do what? You tell young ladies, if you're being accosted by a man, to call to an older woman. Now, isn't an older woman less fit to protect you?
Yeah.
Than another woman your age?
No, there's no logic behind that. Yeah. You know.
Hey, I got an idea.
Older, maybe tired.
Amoo.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
This awakens the natural drive in man to protect the weaker, the fairer sex. This conjures the asset. This conjures the
instinctual.
The lion. This conjures the lion in man to protect the female. Just like with white knights and simps, right? They always jump into females, whether they're right or wrong.
Control it,
Okay, call simp.
Yeah,
White
yeah,
knight,
yeah.
white knight. And then you get help.
Beta.
Beta. But why would you call for another woman? You see the
Amazing.
logic?
Yeah, the
The
guy,
logic
the
is illogical.
Yeah.
predator might get excited.
Mom, ooh.
Yeah. You know, like,
You know, they got those fantasy videos,
Yeah, but-
you know, mom and daughter.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
what if the older lady identify herself not as mom? Then you're gonna insult her.
Yeah. You gotta know her pronouns. You can't just say
Yeah.
mom. You gotta know the
it's just a
pronouns.
common thing. She might just be confused.
No, this is
like,
this
you're not
is
my daughter.
Sis mom.
yeah, but since this is from the Middle Eastern,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
it's in that land.
Yeah,
You know,
in that land.
in
Okay,
that
yeah.
culture, because in that
Probably
culture,
Libya.
because in that
Okay,
culture, no,
they do
one good thing in that culture, alhamdulillah, that they respect the elders. You know, but yeah, if you go to grandma or mom, I mean, maybe little kid's gonna run away from you, but that's very, very incorrect.
What did you want
nasiha.
someone like to someone who is in a position who can overpower the predator?
Yeah.
You know, why would you get an
Someone to
older
match
woman?
the aggression.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. It's like, you guys familiar with Pokemon?
Pokemon?
You know, you get a fire Pokemon, you try to fight a water Pokemon.
Yeah. Catch him up.
It's not effective.
Exactly.
Terrible example. Let's go. Move on.
I'm trying to like, you
Terrible
know,
example.
I'm trying.
You gotta reach
Yeah,
the
I don't-
audience.
I don't even think Pokemon's still alive anymore.
What?
What's popping is a hot topic. The modern day Dawah to Islam that isn't. The modern day Dawah to Islam that isn't. There are some other topics concerning Dawah. Just gave the khutbah about Dawah, but we're not going to rehash that. We're talking about something different. We have a systematic approach to discussing this issue of Dawah. What is Dawah, so on and so forth. Nevertheless, there is a conversation to be had in another setting, hoping to have it soon, about non-ideological Dawah and the deficiencies of non-ideological Dawah. But that's not this discussion per
It's kind of like
se.
a stepping stone to that, though.
But the Dawah has there are types, there are aims,
yeah,
there is agendas, there is a tariqah, a methodology,
Wasila,
there's
usloob.
wasila, there's usloob, you know, there's a means and style, there's all of that. So alhamdulillah, inshallah ta'ala, we will discuss.
Yeah, I think the first thing I'm gonna go and say, what does dawah mean? Let's try to define it from your understanding or linguistically.
Dawah means like invitation, right? Just the word
To invite,
itself,
yeah.
right?
Mhm. Yeah, by itself.
So
when
when
people
we
say,
talk, when we say Dawah, we actually mean Dawah to Islam, right? Is that the proper way to say it grammatically?
No, everything is a Dawah. If a woman stands at her front door and calls a man, that's a Dawah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Dawah also.
yeah, so when somebody says this is dawah,
Like saying Aqidah. Aqidah doesn't mean Islam. We just use it. We dominate it.
That's why
as a term.
we have
But
to be
Dawah, we dominate it
specific.
as a term. Say we're giving Dawah. Of course, if a Muslim gives Dawah, they're giving Dawah to Islam.
That's already a given.
Yeah.
You don't really need to.
But there are many
specify.
Muslims that are calling to democracy and calling to socialism and so on and so forth. So
when I hear the word dawah, the first thing pops in my head is like, you're basically telling me invitation to.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dawah to what? Because dawah can be a noun, dawah can also be a verb.
Okay.
So when people say I'm doing dawah, okay, dawah to what? I can say dawah to zawaj, for wedding. I can say dawah for takharruj, for graduation.
yeah.
Okay.
So it has to be specific, right? But people, actually Muslim, we abuse the word dawah.
Yeah.
We abuse it. Like, let's say we're riding the bicycle and, I don't know, maybe we pop the Quran or riding. Brother, this is dawah. I'm like, how? I mean, we're not inviting to think. We're not having a conversation. But everything for them is dawah. Like, I was sitting with one brother in a restaurant. And usually when when we order food, I say, no pork, no this and that. I'm allergic to pork family. They don't ask questions. They make sure that I'm not, because for the lawsuit, they don't want to go through lawsuit, right? Done. But this brother said, oh, brother, you should tell them they're Muslim. I said, I understand, but, she's working, she's exhausted, she's tired, or he's tired. It's not a time for them to discuss Islam right now. They just want to serve and get out.
Yeah.
There's a time and place.
You know how many kuffar don't know that pepperoni is pork?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That they actually don't know that certain things are pork that are actually from pig.
Yeah.
You have to actually to explain it to them. So to say and you're allergic to it, well, which actually I'll get sick if I eat pork.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll get sick.
It's not
You know
used
what I'm
to.
saying?
Yeah.
My stomach is like almost automatic food poison. You know what I'm saying? So,
Alhamdulillah, that's good though.
alhamdulillah, it is. You know what I'm saying? So the issue is that if I tell her or him that I'm allergic, now, like he said, that puts them on alert. That's lawsuit stuff.
Yeah.
That's
That
like
carries
peanut
more
allergies,
weight.
so on and so forth. That's lawsuit
And they make
stuff.
sure that.
So they make sure.
Yeah.
But if you tell them, "Oh, I'm Muslim," you never know what the
Yeah.
what kind of treachery could
He's a
happen.
Muslim?
This is daughter hard. This is daughter hard.
Like this, look.
Bring
Sprinkle
a little
a little bit.
more.
Yeah.
We'll put a little extra
So
swine.
basically, I mean, there's a time and
Pork
place.
bait.
Yeah, I mean, understand the brother. Yeah, and the brother, mashallah, is a very. Yeah,
No, yeah, I get it.
Very religious, mashallah.
I understand, but I was telling him that we have to be like very strategic. There's a time and place. Like when you discuss with somebody within the right time, it's much easier than just to say that this is
It's like how we were talking about, when I was working at that one job with the Rice Away.
rice away.
And you kind of like, we were talking about how like, they were asking me questions about like Islam and stuff, but I wasn't going out of my way to really start those
But
conversations.
aren't they traditional raised Muslims?
Yeah, but they would ask me stuff just because like, I guess they're not really
Because of the religious right
practicing.
situation.
Yeah, so I was just like,
That's a long
started
story.
praying or whatever. So
Yeah.
they thought, oh, this
We gotta talk
guy
about that
saying
one
it's
day.
not even all that. But
Yeah,
anyway, I just chose
That's a
not
good random.
to
Rice
bring.
Away.
I
Rice
chose
Away.
not to get into those conversations. 'Cause
Right.
I'm at work. This is a job place. I'm not here to
Because your job is amana.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you're supposed to perfect the amana, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I'm not here to do
Even
that,
when I
you
used to
know?
work, the regular job, when people ask me this question, I give them the answer based on the question, and I don't go in detail. Then I tell them, look, if you are serious about this,
Yes.
we need to have a coffee somewhere and have a serious discussion. When they don't do that, they're not serious. Like some people ask silly question like, hey, why you Muslim, bury the dead real quick? I tell this one guy, so we want to stink. Shut him up. I don't have time for it because he's not serious. The question is silly. He's just trying to goof around. I shut him right away. But if he's serious, I've seen some folks like in our classes and workshop.
Yeah.
I'm from a certain church. I see you doing great in the community. I want to invite you and have a conversation. Okay, then we'll talk after the class, after the workshop.
Yeah.
So the okay, we covered what is dawah.
Yeah, even if you, I'm sorry, I apologize. So we defined it just invitation, right? So I like to go linguistically too, a little bit. So in Arabic language, da'wah, it has many meaning. It says here, يمكن تعريف الدعوة لغة بالطلب mean request, طلب, request. النداء to call, okay.
Yeah, like a da'i.
والحث means to remind. الصيحة means screaming, shouting. Okay.
These are synonyms.
Yes, yeah. أصلها دع means invited. والدعوة اسم لما يدعيه وأدية الشيء, that means to call them to.
Okay.
So these are all linguistic means, request, bring, and whatnot, right? But when you go and define it Islamically, when you define it like, so it says here, تذكير الناس بالخير والهدى, and to remind the people with, المعروف والنهي عن المنكر, right? It also talks about, da'wah to Islam, okay? So there are many, I think you probably put a note, like there are many kinds of a variation of what kind of da'wah you're doing. If it's a khairiyah for like, good deeds, like helping the orphans, stuff like that, that's the form of da'wah too, But to who? Is it to the Muslim or is it to the non-Muslim? If it's non-Muslim, then what kind of da'wah we're actually implementing?
What category does it fall?
What category? Because there's something called da'wah fardiyah, which means individual da'wah, which is the most popular nowadays, right? Then you have, I think you're going to cover this, right? What is the hukum? What is the rule when it comes to da'wah? Is it fard? Is it fard kifaya or fard ain? We can cover that inshallah. So that's linguistically what it means.
So let's answer this comedian real quick. As a comedian in the room, I think that's a relative of yours, maybe healthy and wealthy.
Yakti said, "Yo, Amir."
Hey, Yaqub.
Assalamu healthy and wealthy said, "How much barakah you get for giving da'wah at the strip club?"
I don't know how much you get, but you canceled it.
Khadija, Amir actually. Giving salam to all of us.
Alaikum assalam.
Don't forget to share this important subject. It's very important.
Okay, let's get into it. The second thing we wanted to cover was the objective of the dawah.
Mhm.
The objective. We covered what is dawah. Dawah is to invite, to call, so on and so forth, right? Okay, what is the objective of the dawah? When you are giving dawah to Islamiyah, right? When you're giving the dawah to Islam, what is the end objective?
Yeah.
Anybody want to touch that?
Well,
Let the
To
young
invite,
brother.
I would say like to invite them to the right concepts, which would be like how to the intellectual understanding of what Islam is.
Okay, good.
It shouldn't be to get a shahada or to make Muslims, because at the end of the day, like, Allah is the one who makes Muslims. You know, we're supposed to just give the message and in the clearest way possible, in the way that fits best, and leave the rest.
That's excellent. Go ahead.
How can I follow up on that, man?
You can do what they do in the medical field and concur.
I concur. I agree.
No, I mean I think
Like I didn't go to medical school, but I can always concur.
No, I think he hit it spot on. Yeah, I agree 100% with it. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
True. The dawah, the objective is to change the thinking. The objective is not to make Muslims, not to get the shahada, but to change the thinking.
Yeah.
The success of the dawah by Mus'ab ibn Umair in Medina, the success of his dawah was not measured by the shahadas. The success of his dawah is when Muhammad called him back after a couple of years. He said, "What is the condition you left Medina?" He said, "There's not a house that is not discussing the message." He didn't say every house embraced Islam. They were discussing the message, meaning that he got out the correct information and people were contemplating it. Not to embrace it, because remember the majority were kuffar, right?
Yeah.
But to discuss it, yeah. And that's what the dawah is, to put that what do you call that catalyst into the mind or into the household,
To plant that seed,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. To take the fancy word, but to take the dawah to the abwab, take the dawah to the doors, and once the dawah reaches the doors, that's your job. You can't regulate shahada.
Yeah. Yeah. You can.
Those incentive-based shahadas, 6 months, 0 interest, you can take shahada,
Yeah,
anyway.
man.
Yeah. So the other, in addition to that, based on the Quran and Sunnah and based on what Muhammad Sallam did, the what you talked about, this is called dawah fardiyah, okay, individual dawah, right? So there's another dawah called dawah al-jama'iyah, which is a collective dawah, and the whole objective is actually to establish Islam. To establish, because when Islam is established, then inshallah, just like Surah Al-Nasr, إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا, right?
Yeah.
So in Medina, when Islam was established as a state, then Islam, alhamdulillah, spread like a wildfire, right? Because
Waves,
because there are many ayat and many hadith that talks about that, the priorities. Right now we're doing the fardiyah, right? We're doing the individual self. But nobody's focusing on I shouldn't say nobody. I mean, there are very few people Muslimin that focus on.
Too few.
Yeah, very few that focus on establishing Islam first. Then all the dawah fardiyah can, flourish, inshallah. But we kind of, I wouldn't say the opposite, but I think the priority is not put too much.
Yeah, we've neglected that.
Neglected the other part, and they're focusing on the individual.
Wahi, come on, man. Look at it this way. You are calling to establish Islam as a system, to re-establish Islam as a system, to revive the ummah through that, right?
Yeah.
Other people are saying there's a better way. The kuffar won't be so mad at us. It's more acceptable. It's more pragmatic, right? And which is to go through kufr to reach Islam. And kufr in all of its forms.
Yeah.
Al-kufru millatin wahida. The kufr is one religion. The haq is one, and the kufr, all the kufr is one. The haq is singular, and all the kufr is one. But speaking of types of dawah, like he was mentioning, the dawah that you make to an individual for them to become Muslim. The dawah you make to Muslims to get them to help in the revival or to come back to Islam, right?
Yeah.
The dawah that you carry to other nations as an entity to cause them to annex and to grow the state, which spreads the justice. And speaking of the justice, the fourth type of dawah, what is that? The kuffar can see Islam. They see the systems. They see the economic, judicial, political, social, and political system of Islam, and they say, that's what we want.
That's success. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the dawah that's neglected today. They can't see it.
But you know why that's neglected though? You know why?
Better.
Because it's very hard.
Exactly.
It's very hard.
Pause.
Very hard.
You know,
making sure
people
that
talk
doesn't
about
put his
like
hand
dawah.
inside.
You can do dawah with. You do dawah by like your actions. They say like you can do dawah by your actions.
Well, that's the state.
Yeah, exactly. That makes more sense when it's a state, not
Yeah.
just like your individual person. Like,
You might fall off.
yeah, exactly. You know, we're not gonna be as
You might catch me with
consistent.
a sandwich and a big pig feet sticking out of it. I'm like, Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah. And I also recommend
I'm leaving Islam.
the brothers and the sisters, if you go to the website surahquran.com, then you check the Al Imran, ayah 104,
Oh yeah.
and go through all the 11 tafasir. Okay.
Okay.
So-
Ayah 104.
104 ولتكن منكم أمة يدعون إلى الخير ويأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر وأولئك هم المفلحون. So when I use this ayah to some of my homies and humat, if I can say that, right? They say al-khair here doesn't mean Islam, it means good. Okay, if it says good, then again good. Come on, don't play with the language.
No, but it says al khair. It's not. Yeah.
Yeah, so here, Imam, this is tafsir, let's see here. Imam al-Qurtubi on this one. Yeah, so he basically, let me tell you exactly what Imam al-Qurtubi said
Go ahead.
about, it's very long tafsir, man, about this ayah 104, okay? All right, so al-qawl, here we go. So, وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ, which means all you believers. Okay? Even though some of us didn't say it was specific for the Sahaba when they went to Medina, that's what the ayah was for them. أَيُّهَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ أُمَّةً, which means يَقُول جَمَاعَةً. Group. Brother, you can start a group. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says here, يَقُول جَمَاعَةً يَدْعُونَ النَّاسِ, they call people, not just Muslims, they call everybody, right? إلى الخير يعني إلى الإسلام وشرائعه التي شرعها الله لعباده, and all its rules that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
In its entirety.
okay?
Exactly.
Then after that ويأمرون بالمعروف. Okay, يقول يأمرون الناس, they command to people باتباع محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ودينه, يعني his deen الذي جاء به من عند الله, the deen that Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم came, this message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ يعني, it says here يعني, وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْكُفْرِ بِاللَّهِ, so they prevent the kufr against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَالتَّكْذِيب, and to lie on Muhammad sallallahu, and whatever that he came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through jihad and with the hand and everything, حتى يناقضوا لكم بالطاعة, until they worship, right? وأولئك هم المفلحون, يعني المنجون عند الله, that means they're saved, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. الباقون في الجنات, they're going to be forever in the Jannah. Okay, so if you go back to this ayah, just look. I mean, you can look at all the tafasir. It clearly says here, the best among us, the one who called to bring them to Islam as a whole. So we have to understand what Islam is as a whole, because nowadays we still don't understand that. We put Islam like any other religion, right? We don't say that nowadays what rules the world is the Almaniya, the Ra'asmaliya, Democratia. That's their aqidah. That's what they rule the world, right?
Democracy, secularism.
All this stuff, yeah. So, and Islam has a solution for that. But for some reason, unfortunately, when we do the da'wah fardiyah, the individual da'wah, we only focus on salah and zakah and that kind of stuff. But other stuff, we don't challenge it. But if you read the seerah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he challenged the leader of the Quraysh, right? He challenged the leaders on the upper position. We have, alhamdulillah, so many ulama.
Challenge their systems, their concepts,
Correct.
ideology as a whole. Like, if I give dawah to someone and I tell them, Islam is, you pray and you fast, and you kind of just talk about the 5 pillars, but you don't focus on what we talked about, changing the concepts.
Yeah.
Then none of the ibadah, none of the day-to-day actions aren't going to make sense.
Because I've seen some brothers...
And they won't stick.
Correct. So some people become Muslim because they watch some movie or they like some element of, I don't know, type of food. Some become Muslim because, Islam has this manhood stuff. So when they became Muslim for the sake of manosphere and manhood, right?
Well, you hear about these guys.
And stuck right there. That's it.
We're going to talk about tomorrow, but
okay.
You hear these guys say, maybe I should become Muslim. Rollo Tomasi said it. Maybe I should become Muslim for the wives. Why would you become Muslim for wives that you have to take care of when you can have 100 girlfriends as a Kafir? The logic is not there.
Logic is not there. And a lot of the time, even you had this experience before, like when people tend to, take the Shahada, we tend to understand where their thinking level is.
Yeah, because you have to intellectually enter Islam.
Yeah, not emotionally, and not because I saw a dream. But I mean, we don't prevent them, but we still have to have a conversation.
What the day Muhammad, when he was alive, he said that the movie Malcolm X was going to bring up so many people to Islam. Mm-hmm. That's what he said. So now Spike Lee and Hollywood are responsible for giving the Dawah on a large scale.
Yeah, all those shahadas.
We have all those blood-sucking, all tycoons in the Arab world, that have the money to. Tyler Perry produced his own studio.
Yeah.
And everybody's using his studio. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He rivals Hollywood with that big studio in Atlanta, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, why couldn't the bloodsuckers establish something to promote Islam? But Islam is not what they want to promote.
Islam is not in their agenda because one of the things is that I tell a lot of my Muslim brothers and sisters that when you go to these countries nowadays and study Islam, alhamdulillah, and whatnot, you have to understand that these nation-state were created by the colonial secular power. They were put in place by the colonial power. So don't expect these Muslimin or these leaders are going to be working for your interests. They're not.
They have an interest themselves that cannot be contradicted. They're not going to teach you how to uproot them.
Yeah.
They're not even going to inform you that it's your duty by Allah to uproot them. They're not going to inform you that.
Yeah.
And the shuyukh that sit with them, that cement their thrones, are not going to tell you because the boss, the Rabb, min dunillah, did not tell them to do so.
Yeah. And the problem with that, it really caused a lot of confusion among not just the youth, among the thinking Muslims.
Ya Allah.
Because they are confused. I mean, you're saying, follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, look at the history. But when I go outside the school, when I go outside the institute, when I go outside the university, everything is the opposite. Like recently, in Qatar, because of the FIFA, they were requesting the government that you need to allow the alcohol because we have people coming from all over the world. So it's kind of hilarious because Qatar basically said that, well, first of all, it is not illegal to drink alcohol in Qatar.
It's actually not. Yeah.
It's not, but not in public.
But public.
But they're trying to make it like maybe specific, places where they can allow.
They have the hotels. They have like already.
It's the same with the Sheikh Uthman. You sent the video today.
Yeah.
He was talking about that shuyukh should be independent.
Independent, yeah.
Ulama should be independent. They should not be under a shura board and things like that. Because a lot of the shuyukh that come from overseas to take positions at the masajid are not even on the board technically. And if they are on the board, they still are considered employee, not
and that's
sheikh.
what it is.
But he was saying that they should not do that.
Yeah.
But he won't extend it to the ruler though. That's the problem I have with listening to the video. I'm like, why don't you extend that to the ruler? How even more obligatory is, forget those 5, 5, 6, 7 shura board members, 2 of which are doctors, 1 is an attorney, and the rest are convenience store owners.
Exactly.
Forget them. What about the actual ruler that's holding back the Muslim armies from defending our ummah that is in turmoil?
Do you remember that hadith? Ala inna ad-dina nasiha?
Yeah.
قيل لمن يا رسول الله to who ya Prophet Allah he said قال لله ولكتابه ولرسله ولأئمة المسلمين. Muhammad started with أئمة المسلمين, which means the leaders. Then last one عامتهم. We flip. We go into the lower, the common.
Could you translate the hadith?
Yeah, basically دين النصيحة for who? يا رسول الله for who? Says لله ولكتابه ولرسله ولأئمة المسلمين and وعامة. When you start with the nasiha, you have to start with the
Sincerity.
Advice.
To Allah.
yeah.
To Allah, His
book and the
books,
Prophet and
prophets,
then to the A'immat al-Muslim, the leader of the Ummah.
the leader.
And these are legitimate leaders, not the one that put in power by those. Those are not legitimate. You know what I'm saying? But this is in the hadith.
But they are also old sincerity too, though. Even the puppets, old sincerity, which is need to get out.
Yeah,
need to get out, like Jordan Peele. I hope Jordan Peele must make a movie called Get Out.
Remember in couple of episodes, Khuruj, you do Khuruj. Remember in couple of when we did the femininity of the Quran, we talked about this one ayah from Surah At-Tawbah 71 that وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتُ بَعْضُهُم أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْض, right? يَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ. So the believing men and women are an ally to one another. So we give al-ma'ruf, invite them to good and prevent them from the munkar. But these are for everybody.
Yeah.
Not just because you're in the high position, you're not going to advise them. In some countries, unfortunately, some of the ulama that gave advice to the so-called leaders, and they got jailed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So they're saying just abandon the dawah to the ruler altogether because you can get in big trouble. Then how do we ever get out of trouble? How does Ummah ever get out of trouble?
Yeah.
What do the firemen say? Man, I ain't going in there. I don't care if it's a woman and 2 kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I seen them running there for pets, bro.
Yeah.
So the house is burning. You won't go in and save anybody because the house is burning. So why don't you just nail up the doors? Make sure nobody gets out. That's what the Ummah's doing. That's what the ulama do to us. They nail the doors shut, so we stay in the burning house. There's no rescue.
Yeah, and in fact, the other day, I'm going to mention this because Naman al-Khan on one of his old video, I like his Arabic course, don't get me wrong, but other stuff, he shouldn't really, I think he shouldn't touch the subject because he was talking about that in the Quran, there's only one ayat that talks about the hukum, which is actually, that's a lie.
Yeah,
there are many ayat that talks about...
Which
did he learn that from Yasaqadi? Where did he learn that from?
I don't know where he learned from, but that's
He's taller than
incorrect.
Yasaqadi, so I don't know how he learned from him.
Because he's taller than him.
He learned like this.
Yeah, there are many ayat. You can check Surah An-Nur, you can check Surah Al-Imran. There are many ayat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about, إنما كان قول المؤمنين إذا دعوا إلى الله ورسوله ليحكم بينهم أن يقولوا سمعنا وأطعنا. So you see the word hukum, there are many ayat. So I'm kind of mind-boggled when somebody says that, the hukum doesn't exist in the Sharia. It's only one ayah. I'm like, this is kind of like, you need to fear Allah,
It's deception, man. It's deception. So next, let's talk about examples of modern dawah. What examples? Can anybody give one example of modern dawah?
Yeah, the Christian and the Muslim
modern dawah
debate, the Bible versus the Quran.
So he's targeting the interfaith, which I like to call exit faith. Because I've seen quote unquote imams exit Islam at an interfaith. Wow. One in particular, he said, "Bow your heads, O Lord this, O Lord that." He actually told the crowd to bow their heads.
That's a Christian thing, though.
Of course, yeah.
He's
a Negro, so the Arab sheikh, the Pakistani sheikh, nobody else would do that. They told him, "Go, nigger, fly, fly, nigger boy."
Like R. Kelly?
Yeah.
I believe I can fly.
I believe I can sure.
Astaghfirullah, man.
I was watching this one YouTube channel, and he I would say he does modern da'wah, kind of like person to person, but he does kind of like this goofy da'wah, right? He had this one, it was a little weird. So like he dressed up like the Squid Games guy in the suit, and sets up that game that they were doing where they throw one paper on another and you try to get it to flip, right? And he says,
okay.
He says, whoever wins, you get slapped in the face. So the person would win, and or he would win most of the time. And when it came time for him to slap them, he would say, "Oh, we actually don't strike the face as Muslims."
But would he let people hit him?
No. He would. When he won, he said,
What does he do?
I don't remember. So it was just like, that's it. It was just like,
Are you making this up?
No, I'll show you the video.
Okay.
Does he beat them?
I'm like,
Share the video, seriously.
No. I'm gonna tell you, man. That's so idiotic, man.
Yeah, I was just like, what is this like really accomplishing, man? Like,
So what, does he beat them?
he pulled out like a jalapeno. He said like, you just have to eat this instead or something.
It becomes a joke.
That's he's trivializing.
It becomes a
Islam.
joke.
I was like, bro, what is this?
Trivializing.
And then like he getting praised, but he's getting praised by the Muslims saying like, oh yo, like this is so creative.
So
like,
basically,
he's
him.
like, I'm like, how is this?
So this individual, may Allah guide him, right?
I mean, no,
and his follower.
intention, I'm sure his intention is straight.
But
Like,
intention
For
isn't.
real?
I don't know, like he has a lot.
Straight.
How do you know? Nobody can judge the intention.
I don't know.
I'm sure his intentions are straight.
No.
His intentions might be.
Hey, did you know? Hey, listen. You know some non-Muslim what they tell me that the wars started with a good intention.
Yeah.
Wars?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
but,
yeah.
but what do you think this person needs and his followers? You know what they need? Huh? Yeah, that's what they
They need
need.
that corporal punishment. Yeah,
is
it's
it?
like
So your
there's like this one right here.
well, Saturday Night Live. Anyway,
I'll
so
show you guys later.
so your example of modern dawah is the exit faith, the interfaith exit faith. Your example
It's
is
like these
this
goofy
guy
examples.
he's doing some goofy type of skits in
Yeah.
order to get people, I guess, to slap him for Islam.
Yeah.
And what example you have of modern
Modern.
type of dawah?
Tabligh. Tabligh. Yeah.
But that's not
That's not modern.
though. That's
Well, it came after the. No, it's a modern era. After
okay.
19.
I think
The 1930s.
What do we classify as modern? Like after the 90s?
Modern means that you're not doing the dawah,
Based on Islam, I guess.
the dawah to Islamiyah that is classical.
Okay.
You're not doing the classic dawah. You are doing
that would, yeah.
something that fits into the modern landscape. Basically.
Just like our Christian friends.
Yeah.
When they do like a concert and rock and let's change it a little bit
Missionaries.
to fit the I don't know, the dumbness
Jesus!
of
Well, my example
Rapping on a
of
truck, remember by the laundromat?
yeah, but under mud.
my example of the modern dawah is how our so-called most learned avoid talking on an ideological level.
Yeah.
Everything is about, Allah is God, Muhammad is his messenger, which is totally fine.
Absolutely, yeah.
But the way they stranglehold that and they the way they limit that, it has nothing to do with life. It's all about that individual.
Yeah.
It's all about that individual looking Muslim, quote unquote, becoming Muslim, go from the church to the masjid. That's the extent of Islam, but Islam has no solutions to life.
Yeah, and when they need help financially,
Yeah.
oh, we don't have financial help. We have no solution for you.
Yeah.
But I'm working at the bar. Oh, it's okay. You can work a few times.
But see, the dirty secret is what? The dirty secret is more people are leaving Islam than are embracing Islam.
Yeah.
That's the dirty secret.
Wow.
That's the dirty secret nobody's talking about. Because the dawah is modern
Watered down.
and it's not enough to hold individuals, because they don't embrace it intelligently. So that's my example of modern dawah, how they hold back from ideological discussion because it may offend their financiers.
I mean, subhanAllah, like, if you go back to Brother Muhammad Hijab and Jordan Peterson, right? So right now, Jordan Peterson is putting some of the short clips, some points here and there. You can see that his followers, right, the one that hate Islam and Muslim, you can see in their comment that they have the izzah of their own belief system, not the Christian belief. They're talking about their secular belief.
Yeah.
They're saying that, well, Muhammad Hijab wants to fit in. Islam doesn't fit into a modern time. Islam is backward. Islam is barbaric. Yeah. If Islam wants to play a game with the modern time, then they need to respect individual freedom of speech, blah blah blah. Why? So they're speaking. Yeah. So they make but you see, they're speaking from their ideological lifestyle.
The liberalists.
As
Yes.
superior.
Yeah.
That's how they look at you. But unfortunately, we don't present it that way.
You know why? Because they have solution.
Yeah.
All we can do is say, be a democratic Muslim,
Yeah.
be a capitalist Muslim, be a secularist Muslim.
Which is an
That's
oxymoron.
all we can say.
It's an oxymoron, though.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
don't
Catholic
call them to
Muslim.
Islam to be a revivalist, a fundamentalist. You know what I'm saying? A fundamentalist means that you believe in Allah and His messenger, you believe Islam has to rule, that Islam is the only way to justice. That's called fundamental.
Muslims are even scared to call themselves fundamentalists. They
Well, because they hijacked the term.
exactly,
Yeah.
and they
You know,
tainted it.
They hijacked the term.
And not just that, I always recommend this. It's not a book. It's like some sort of ebook or
Take back the language.
from the Rand Corporation, which is a think tank institution here from the U.S. They are in charge of the U.S. policy. It used to be like a military base and whatnot.
Yeah.
So Cheryl Bernard, that's her name, in 2004. So the book is also in Arabic. It's only 80 pages. So it's amazing how these intellectual politicians, right? I gotta give that credit to them. They understand what Islam is. So she was talking about, this hijab is a political statement. It means our way of life is against theirs. We cannot compromise. It cannot go hand in hand. So we gotta eliminate it. We gotta make sure that they're not gonna have this. So in her book, and I actually shared with the local imam here, I said, read this book. It talks about how we need to promote Sufi, Muslim. We need to print more Hanafi books. We need to, if you go to Barnes & Noble, you only see like Sufi books, right?
Yeah, Rumi.
We need to put secular Muslim on the podium, on the pedestal, on a TV show, like these atheist Muslim or modern Muslim or modern Muslim. Or we need to make sure that they are
the face of Islam.
the face of Islam.
Just like the politicians that we have.
And guess what else in that book? You all should read it because it talks about how we need to fund these so-called Muslim organizations and group directly or indirectly. ISNA was mentioned, CARE was mentioned, ICNA was mentioned, MAS and all those guys, even the so-called Muslim political group overseas. Their name were brought up.
Yeah.
Financed them directly or indirectly.
Because if they take that financial support, then they then you become owners of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
so
even on the
It's a way to take it that without knowing you took it.
Yeah.
How was that?
Your one of your members brings it in, but without letting you know the source of it.
Yeah.
They readily rise to the top of your organization because they're funding everything, like what Fidel Castro did to the Democratic Party of Cuba.
Yeah.
He funded the woman who rose quickly to the top as the leader, and he knew every move they were going to make. Before they thought of it, he knew what they were thinking about.
That's why I sometimes say follow the money and see who infiltrate. But it's kind of ironic and sad that the intellectual among the secular belief system, the so-called democratic and capitalist, they understand Islam more than the majority of the Muslims. Otherwise, Henry Kissinger won't use that language. I think it was NPR or PBS when he was asked a long time ago.
Long pause.
PBS.
It wasn't PBS. Right? Like, what do you think?
TV time that's millions of dollars.
Exactly.
He paused for several seconds and answered the question.
Yeah, about Islam, right? He said, "Well, I have no issue with Islam. I have no issues with Muslim Islam, but as soon as it enters politics, then I have a problem."
Yeah.
So they understand, But unfortunately, us, we don't present it that way. That there's a solution. Let's work towards it.
That way, you don't understand it that way.
That's another thing.
So we talked about examples of modern Dawah.
Are there any other modern?
What are the effects, though?
Are there any other modern besides what?
We have the interfaith, the new way,
the
Squid Game,
stuff,
goofy stuff. I talked about the staying away from the solution, the Dawah that offers no solution.
Do you think that the stuff that happens in the UK, like the Hyde Park, debate back and forth, debating?
Speaker's corner.
To me, that's more interfaith than anything else.
No, they're not interfaith. They're saying that the Quran, the Bible has faults and mistakes.
It's interfaith.
That's a higher interfaith.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
When you dare point to the deficiencies in their book or in their belief, that's a higher interfaith.
Yeah.
That's not the one I call exit faith. The one I call exit faith is when after you have a meeting with them, you like smell my finger. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. Like.
So you
was all up in their back.
Okay, so you consider these popular debates online about Ahmadi Allah Ahmadi died.
Yeah.
But these becoming very popular. Yes. We just want to debate for the sake.
Well, see, the thing about it, there is a courtesy offered under the guise of usloob, but even usloob has to be within the confines of Sharia.
Yeah, because do you remember there is the
hudud law.
There is the one ayah in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, invite the Jews and Christians to a common ground. Right?
Common word.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I love Ahmadi Allah Rahman, right? But what I'm noticing nowadays, what I'm not encouraging people wrong. Yeah. What I'm noticing, people just want to invite so-called only Christian. Your book has faults, but most Christians don't even know their own book.
Right.
So you study more
Right.
They actually.
You know what I mean? The Bible.
I've seen it. I've done it with my family earlier as a Muslim. You are actually educating them about Christianity. Right. You are building them up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
You are pushing them to study. I heard a brother. It was mashallah, it was a good brother.
Yeah.
Abdul Qadir out of Dallas, Texas, long ago. You know what I'm saying? This brother, he thought he was saying something right, but I was one of them people. I didn't hold my tongue. So if I heard something, I'll say something. You know, like right then and there. I had no tact, right? So he told this Christian, "Hey man, why don't you come to Ta'aleem? You know, come to study our study service." You know, he said, "We'll make you a better Christian." I said, "What Ta'aleem you going to?" I said, "How are we going to?" Man, I'm just saying, you know, because we know they book better than them. I said, "We're not there to teach them their book," you know. And this is one of the things that happened. We'll make you a better Christian, you know. And there's one guy, this police talk. He told me, he said, "Man, see, you can't even be Muslim if you don't read the Bible." I said, "Who told you that fallacy?" I said, "Who told you that fallacy?" He said, "Well, one of your Muslim brothers told me that." I said, "Well, he told you wrong."
Yeah.
You know?
Didn't Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbid Omar radiallahu anh from reading the Torah?
Yeah, because Umar was admiring it.
Yeah, he was admiring it publicly.
Oh, okay.
That's why.
He was admiring it publicly.
I mean, sometimes
but there's no purpose of reading it anyway.
Right.
There's no purpose.
I mean,
at all,
sometimes. I mean, I read it in different versions, even the Arabic one. It's very.
I read it. I read it
It's
until
funny.
I cried. I cried because I didn't want to read it no more. Mama made me read it. You know?
So I read this kind of.
In the beginning, God said,
I read the Arabic one. It's
"That's not
hilarious.
in that book."
I read in the Arabic too. It's very interesting.
And he put the dabur in
Oh, come on, don't say
his
that.
daughter-in-law's
Don't
babur, and she said, "Ugh."
This guy.
That's in the Bible, though.
Oh my God. Allahu Akbar. But you consider that. I mean, I consider like a modern because of the debate back and forth, right? That's all they focus
This is
on.
Thriller.
Stop it, man. This guy.
With the pecs. With the pecs and that 6-pack.
Oh my God. So you consider that interface? I thought it was just a modern way of just
No, it's a type of interfaith. Yeah.
debate all the time with the Christians.
But it's the higher interfaith, you know. But after that, man, you got another religious person. We got too many religious people already, man. We need workers. We need activists. Yeah. We need revivalists. That's what we need. That's what the Ummah needs. So, what are some of the effects of modern dawah?
Man, I mean, we kind of touched on it earlier. You know, kind of like that, the dirty secret. You have more people leaving Islam than joining, as you mentioned, right? Yeah. So I would say that's one of the effects. Improper understanding of the deen. And then also...
Fringe. Almost like fringe Muslims. The type that'll leave if you correct them.
Yeah, it's weird stuff.
Yeah.
And there's the generational, like, gap. There's a generational, like, decline in terms of knowledge of the deen.
Oh yeah,
that happens.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I've noticed. What do you guys?
Yeah, I like, which is I concur. Plus, I will add that it doesn't. It's like you said, it's just a bunch of numbers.
Yeah, there's
right?
no quality.
It doesn't add a quality, just a quantity, right? And
less than 100 made hijrah from Mecca to Medina. This is the dawah of the Rasul Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
The best
dawah of his Sahaba radiallahu anhum. Less than 100 made hijrah. They say about 70 people made hijrah.
Yeah, and he was the best.
13 years.
Yeah.
Siraj Wahaz give more dawah. He gives more shahadas, you know, than that
Mass shahada.
in 1 year.
Yeah.
In 1 year, they give Yusuf Estes gives more shahadas than that.
Yeah. So
you know.
So in addition to what you said, what happens now, the proper dawah from the Islamic point of view becomes not difficult but more challenging and double work. Because the one who comes to the deen incorrectly, now you have to do double work. Because you got to remove the incorrect ideas and make them come back to intellectual thinking.
Often that produces hostility.
Yes.
Because they'll tell you, and I made the statement before. I said that if some people that I know took Shahada, if they understood what Islam really was, they may not want to be Muslim. because under the pretense, they took Shahada under the pretense that you pray whenever you're ready. Skip this Ramadan, fast the next one if you're ready. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to cover until you're ready. That's what they're told.
You can still work at the strip club.
Yeah.
I was told that. So what? So that's
Coming to the stage, Islamic.
So what happens right now, because the majority of the Muslims, unfortunately, and I'm gonna have to say this, we are like weak betas. So now you're producing more
Weak betas.
weak betas, yeah. Like you're producing more weaklings, and you're producing these. Look, a lot of the crazy ideas even sometimes come from the modern convert, because they were not taught properly, so they come up with excuses. Some say, "Oh no, this lifestyle is okay. How can Allah go against this lifestyle, the Ham lifestyle?" Or I'm living in this nation, so it's okay. Or I'm
Yusuf Estes. He told me one said one new Shahada told him, so Yusuf was reviewing with them. So you believe in Allah, His messengers, the books, and the angels. He said, "Yeah, I believe in angels, but I believe in electronic energy."
see.
See, they already had their own understanding, and that's a problem. That's a problem when you're giving that non-ideological, dawah.
Because they're afraid that if they leave the door, somebody might get hit them. If they leave right now, somebody might hit him. I'm like, oh, how do you know?
Inshallah, we catch up with the comments before we continue.
Okay, let's see the comments.
Taslim, that's it.
Deepak Chopra, that's a fake name. Deepak
Chopra.
I don't know how you got that name, but you probably been in trouble.
It's Deepak Chopper.
Okay. Oh, chopper. Get to the chopper.
Comedian.
Who is this healthy and wealthy? Let's see. One of the best ways to get dawah is with a plate of beans and rice. Do it for the children.
There we go.
Okay. I think that's Tammy, right? Tam
You gotta soak them beans overnight. Tam is back.
Is that Tammy?
Tam Lee.
Yeah, that should be Tammy then.
Are you
Good
back?
good to see you, sister.
We heard that you're not feeling well.
Yeah,
So
she's still in the hospital.
Alhamdulillah. Good to see you though.
hopefully this show will make you feel better. Omar Suleiman had interfaith group dawah. He was praying behind a female priest.
Yep.
This was his form of dawah to Islam. That's very weak. That's very beta.
He was giving dawah to Mexico border.
Yeah,
Dawah to Trump wall.
pouring out water and stuff.
Whatever he was doing.
For the dead, he was pouring out for the dead
Libations,
homies.
crosses on the forehead.
Then Yasser Fadi was defending him, defending his actions.
Well, a lot of people defend it, And when you defend, you know what you do. You take.
You associate with them.
You'll take part of their deeds.
المرء على قرين what is it? Subhanallah.
Who?
Was it the ayat?
No, not the ayah. There's a hadith about the friend.
Oh, you are on the religion of your friend.
Khalil,
yeah, Khalil. Yeah.
One thing, are we going back to the effects of modern dawah?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. The one thing is you're not producing properly, right? So it caused double work now to explain to them. Then you also have some of so-called saved sect that will tell them don't go anywhere else except stick with us. It creates more division.
And
creates
all they have in common is that they deny the intellectual aspect of the dawah.
So what happened? It creates more division. It creates within the ummah. It creates more cult-like followers because they don't think.
And the concepts are here and there, because it becomes individualistic, especially like with this modern. You see, the Squid Games, brother. Then you see someone doing this, and they all have their own like method.
And not just that, they
Instead
actually
of going back to
you're right.
Sunnah,
Not just that, it is actually an insult to tell somebody don't listen to that person, don't listen to that sheikh, don't read that book. So you're basically saying that I'm stupid and telling me not to do such thing. Actually, if you think about it, you are the one probably stupid because you're afraid to switch. If there is something that bothers you, what, you shook your iman?
Yeah, address
You're
it.
not strong enough to stick to to your deen, to your aqidah? So why are you saying that you should not watch this person's deviant? The fact that you promote that person, you're actually promoting that person.
Yeah.
You're making that person popular.
Yeah.
Right? Like in one of the group, these brothers, like 3 of them, brother, you need to share this. One guy said,
people don't watch it.
Yeah, one guy posted in the group, but it wasn't the day to post the subject, so I removed it. And look at the adab of these young brothers. They have no manners. Oh, you like this guy, that's why you're removing him? Delete. Then they send me a private message. Why are you removing this guy? Do you follow him? I'm like, dude, it's not the day to talk about this person. This person talks about like
Because you have
Dajjal and
specific days. to
yeah,
talk about
that's
certain
it.
Topics.
But they're so adamant because why? Their sheikh or whoever they follow made an announcement, and they're like bunch of ignorant, blind followers. They just monkey do, monkey say.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah,
So,
it's like
Have
henchmen,
anything
you know?
else? The bad side effect?
I concur.
Okay.
Okay. like so, examples of Dawah to Islamiyah. What are some examples of Dawah to Islamiyah? We talked about the modern Dawah, but let's talk about.
When it comes to Dawah Islamiyah, first we have to look at the Prophet ﷺ. How he did it in Mecca, how he did it in Medina. Right? So this is where the definition of Dawah
Gotta
Fardiyya
start
and
there.
Dawah Jama'iyya comes from.
Yeah.
Right? If you look at his seerah, I mean, even the Muslimin in the past, guess what? They use, I'm going to use that word that's going to trigger probably the algorithm, the J word.
Okay.
Right? That was part of the Dawah too.
Yeah.
Can anybody talk about that Dawah? No.
That was a
That was the annex.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we didn't that J word wasn't directed at the populace.
Yes.
The citizenry.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was at the leadership. The leadership would be given to communicate. Hey,
Exactly.
This is what's happening. We are coming to free your citizenry and yourself. If you embrace Islam, a lot of times the incentive was there. You embrace Islam, you stay the ruler.
Yeah.
You would actually stay as the ruler if you embrace Islam.
Yeah. You even talked about the Sahabi, I think it was Rabi'a bin Amr, even Brother Jawad pointed out with the Kisra, with one of the Persian leaders. One of the technique of Muhammad Sallam was that he used to send messengers.
Yeah.
And throughout the Islamic history, when the Khulafa was established, they used to do the same thing. Send to the leader the messengers, right? And of course, I think the last one was Ta'alif al-Qulub. So these are the sympathizers that they want to sympathize with the Muslim, part of the people of the Zakah. So this is how in the Sunnah happened. This is how Muhammad Sallam did it, right? I mean, the 13 years and the 10 years, right? But he established it. And subhanAllah, once the Islam was established as like a governance, as a country, as a system, then Islam spread like a wildfire, more than the 70 within the 13 years of course. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I don't know why the Muslims don't look at this. Because if you study the Islamic history from the time of Muhammad Sallam all the way to 1924, I mean, it's like we ruled for like what, 1400 years almost?
Yeah.
We're not saying it's perfect, but guess what? I hate that argument because whatever they did internally, that's not the issue. They did not apply any other system except Islam. So what's the problem?
Even if they misapplied it, it's still called Islam.
Yeah.
It's still Islam if they misapplied it. Because they didn't look for kufr to solve their Sharia, quench their Sharia thirst or thirst for legislation.
Yeah.
They looked only into the Islam, even if they, made a mistake therein. That's why the hakim that makes ijtihad, that is incorrect gets one blessing, the one that is correct gets a double blessing.
And it's kind of very ironic and hypocritical because they point out issues that happened throughout the Islamic history. But first of all, Islamic history is not a source of hukum shari.
Not at all.
But you're using it to justify your point of view. But why you don't do the opposite? Yeah. Use it. Okay, we'll learn from the mistake. Let's just make sure that it doesn't repeat itself again.
And the problem is, from the time of Uthman, from the time of Omar. Omar was assassinated.
Yeah.
He was assassinated. He was stabbed by Abu Lu'lu with a poison dagger. You know what I'm saying?
Father of pearl.
So what I'm saying is that's a fitna.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about that? They say there's no Islam. He got stabbed the Khalifa at the Fajr.
They're hypocrites.
And why don't they say during the time of Uthman when they threw objects at him when he was on the minbar, accuse him of stealing from the Bayt al-Mal, accuse him of nepotism and things like that. So again, why don't you say Islam was gone then? Why don't you say the fitna of Ali with Muawiyah, with Yazid, with Hassan Hussein? Why don't you call that non-Islam? No, because they're hypocrites. They're looking to the Umayyads and the Ottomans and the yada yada.
And all that,
It's not a source of Islam.
No,
but the ijma of the Sahaba is. So although we had issues, we had Islam. The enemy didn't attack us. They tried doing Ali Muawiyah and that fitna, anhuma. But guess what? Muawiyah said, do you know when I finish with my brother, I'm going to fight you? He told Romans. He said, why would I take your help to fight my brother? When I finish with my brother, I'm going to fight you. Never took the Kufar's help.
Yeah.
Like some places.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy because a lot of the Muslim, because the ignorant is on a level 9,000, over 9,000, right? A lot of the Muslim nowadays, they
I'm told I
share,
don't get it.
they share, oh, that's Dragon Ball Z, you know.
I know. I don't drag balls.
Poor people. You dry balls all the time. Yeah, dry balls. He said.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he carry balls, but the point is,
Yo, we need to
We're gonna get canceled.
That is highly personal.
yeah, very personal. So the thing is, so when the Muslim share the Sheikh so and so, scholar so and so, I'm like, okay, one second. First of all, our legislative sources in our deen is Quran, is Sunnah, Ijma' al-Sahaba, then al-Ijma' al-Qiyas, the analytical deduction. Right? So these are the sources.
Yeah.
We look at the Quran, we look at the Sunnah, and how the Sahaba understood these matter, or through the Ijtihad, right?
Yeah.
And the ulama, of course, the Sahaba, the Tabi'een, Atba' Tabi'een, we call them the Salaf, right? And how they understood it.
Yeah.
But also in our deen, we don't put a person, we call it taqdees. We don't make him as a holy.
You don't pedestalize.
We don't put him in a position of holiness because,
Yeah.
his poop stings like ours, right?
What did Muhammad
Like a holy cow.
told us to hate in moderation and love in moderation?
Yeah.
Perhaps the person you hate, you may one day love them. Perhaps
Yeah.
the person you love may one day hate them.
Yeah.
It's moderation in everything. You don't. Even Muhammad said about himself. What did he say? He said, "Do not exalt me, overpraise me like the Christians do Isa ibn Maryam."
SubhanAllah.
But nowadays we
He
do.
said, "But just say he's a slave of Allah, a servant of Allah." You know.
Yeah.
But nowadays we put the ulama in that position.
Yeah, of course.
You
Yeah.
put them in the highest position, like they cannot make a mistake.
Yeah.
People talk about all these so-called Deobandis and Maturudis and Ash'aris and Atharis and
I have a question.
and Mu'tazili and
I have a question.
Hanafi, Hanbali, Shafi, Maliki,
Okay.
Salafi, Sunni, Shi'i.
Hear me out. Okay, hear me out. In these days, what is most beloved by the Muslim?
What is most beloved by the Muslim?
Yeah. Sheikh.
The Sheikh.
Sheikh in the box.
Sheikh is most beloved. Sheikh is so beloved, a Muslim will stay in an oppressive situation thinking Allah Ta'ala is pleased with them.
Sheikh in the box.
Sheikh fi sanduq. No,
Yeah.
shuyukh fi sanduq.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is the most loved Sheikh for Muslims, right?
Yeah.
What is the most beloved thing to the kuffar? You see it in the videos and the TikTok and the YouTube.
Celebrities.
Huh?
Is it the Sheikh? Also by the Kuffar?
The twerk.
The
The
celebrity.
twerk?
So let's call the girl dancing Sheikha, and let's call the Sheikh at the masjid twerk.
Bruh.
Would you like to demonstrate?
So it'll make more sense when you're being oppressed. It'll
Yeah.
make more sense when you're being oppressed. You say twerk said.
Twerk
Yeah,
said.
Twerk said, yeah.
Because
It's like
the
it's
twerkers are shaking.
shaking.
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
they're shaking. Yeah, they're shaking too much.
They're shaking.
I got it now. Yeah,
There
very,
we go,
very
there we go.
deep, very, very,
I
very
think
deep,
I think deep.
very, very, very deep,
Very
Islamically.
very deep.
It's like, what's that one tactic in math? You have fraction, you gotta multiply and switch it around.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
flip it over. That's kind of like
Receptacle.
Yeah,
It's called reciprocal. I said
Yeah,
receptacle.
you did the
reciprocal. I'm thinking about electrical. Reciprocal, yeah.
Yeah,
You did the reciprocal.
and Alhamdulillah, we have access to the knowledge. We have access to some of the ulama. We have access to people of knowledge too. But again, it's much kind of a better mindset to let somebody else think on your behalf.
Yes.
a lot of conversations when you talk to somebody, right?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of Muslims you talk, and even myself, I used to have this problem. Where I'd be like, well, this sheikh said, that would be my reason for doing something, instead of like actually understanding like the concept itself, So it just kind of like halts you from learning and delving deep into Islam, where Allah commands us, فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ.
Right.
That's a
It's
command
much
for
easier.
every one of us. to
You're
do.
right. It's much easier to listen to somebody, just like listening to a pope, priest, rabbi, right? Pastor.
Yeah.
It's easier. When
Celebrity.
it comes celebrity, when it comes to dunya, life, you spend time and effort and study, dig in and everything. When it comes to the deen, no. Let the sheikh do the thinking for me.
Yeah.
I mean, when you wake up for Fajr, do you call the sheikh? Can I go make Fajr Salah? Can I walk? How many steps?
Yeah.
What should I wear?
Yeah.
You know, this is very dangerous. I mean, this is very, very dangerous. I'm like, I'm not saying just open the Quran and just read it and understand from your own mind.
No, absolutely.
I'm saying right now you have access to people of knowledge, to the books and everything. Why not spend time, study, question? Even if a sheikh so and so says something, okay, what is the dalil? You also have to understand what is the dalil.
We got to learn.
What does
how
dalil
to
mean?
learn.
Yeah, what does dalil mean? Not just because somebody says it's a dalil, it's a dalil.
Yeah.
It could mean anything, but understand it.
I feel like a good teacher, a good person, a good alim, someone with knowledge will teach you how to gain
How to
knowledge
think, how to
yourself,
gain,
and how,
yeah.
You know,
and
they
not
won't
just tell you do this and that.
memorize this, memorize like that's not it. You know.
The one of the most hurtful things that I read all the time on social media is that they will quote a sheikh, and that would be like hadith for them.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, there are many quotes that Muslims carry today that are not just weak hadith, you know, because some people take those as a category of hadith. They will quote the sheikh, and it will become like hadith. Like, for instance, the advice of make 70 excuses for your brother.
Yeah, that's not a hadith.
Yeah, that spread
This was a certain imam that gave that as an advice. People took it and they repeated it like it's a hadith. It's not a hadith. You know, it's not a hadith. And yes, you should make 70, which is an indefinite number, meaning a lot.
Not exactly 70. Yeah.
That you should make excuses for your brother when there is an excuse. Sometimes it's not an excuse.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like it's clear.
And that would contradict La yudagul mu'min min juhri maratain, that the believers never stung twice from the same hole.
Yeah.
You go into your home and you had $20 on your dresser and it's missing. And only one person was in there. So you say, excuse, put another 20 right there. No, put 40 this time, you idiot. You know, and the same person in your house now the 40's missing. You're like,
maybe it walked away.
Excuse number three.
If I was
excuse
him,
number three.
If I was him, it's Jeremiah.
20 times 70.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, bro.
But you know what? I'm gonna tell you. I was reflecting on this. I was reflecting on this because yes, I had a dream. I was reflecting on this.
I had a head.
Because even I made this mistake many times, which is I used to share a hadith without the full narration.
Yeah.
But when I was young, when I was studying in Mecca, every time we studied the hadith, or Sulah hadith, we used to study the biography of every narrator.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
And, by the way, what is the
What happened?
power?
No. Wait. I don't want power.
It's going to die.
No, I don't.
Okay, so then when we narrate the hadith, we don't just narrate from the time of the actual subject. We have to go an Abi Sa'id al-Khudri, an Ibn Umar, then what is the hadith? Yeah, that was the habit.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be. But now, I'm like, wow, subhanAllah, we're making a big mistake because we're just quoting the actual hadith without the narration.
Well, no, not even quoting the hadith.
Yeah.
We're quoting a translation of the meaning.
Translation of the meaning too. So it's best. So I'm forcing myself to, if I'm going to share a hadith, I gotta put the full thing first, like in Arabic, all of it. Yeah. We should be in that habit because why?
Yeah.
Now the chain of narration is getting lost because you're only posting one thing and not the full narrators.
There are times I'll have a hadith that I may have learned in the past in my mind, and I want to say it, and I'm just like, I'm not even gonna say it, man, because like I'm not gonna do it justice.
100% sure.
You know what I mean? And so it's like I need to go back. Okay, I'll think of this hadith. Let me go look the hadith up, and then if I want to present it to somebody, I can present it to somebody in its entirety with the Arabic, and then like the translation, and then preferably with somebody who understands Arabic as well, so they can get.
So we talked about examples of the Dawah to Islamiyah, right?
Yeah.
And we made it clear that Muhammad Sallam was, like you said, changing mentalities, looking for quality over quantity. That's why less than 100 made the hijrah, less than 70, about 70, or so on and so forth. But what are some of the effects of the Dawah to Islamiyah? One effect I know is that Islam is established as a system.
Yeah.
When the Dawah is done correctly. Imagine every Muslim understood Islam from an ideological point of view. those
Oh, wow,
Muslims would
man.
not be content just having majority Muslim countries.
Yeah.
They say Somalia 100% Muslim country, maybe 99.999% Muslim country. There's drug use. There's
Piracy and
you know, I mean, it's not
He said piracy.
I was like, what are you saying?
they all got Roku.
What is it? Copyright?
They got Roku in every house.
Pirates.
LiveWire. Remember LiveWire?
Barbarossa?
Hulu.
No, but I know what you're referring
You know
to.
what?
Only one person in Somalia bought Netflix. Everybody uses a passcode.
Yeah. And the password is piracy.
I'm in Netflix now. Anyway, so the effects of the Dawah al-Islamiyah is that every Muslim remains ideological and never sees the kuffar as superior to them in ideology in any aspect, right? So that means that we don't even consider kufr as a solution for ourselves, and we are constantly striving for and desiring Islam as the standard of the day. From the masjid to the, well, from, we say it like this, from the outhouse, restroom etiquette, to the White House, to the ruling. And not necessarily the White House built by slaves.
I see what you're
just
saying.
the ruling,
Yes.
ruling. So
Play on
from
words.
the outhouse to the White House.
Yeah.
That's what happens because of the Dawah al-Islamiyah, this other, you know, interfaith, exit faith, and this personal, I'm going to make, you know, like used car salesman. What can I do to put you into this Islam today?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, what can I do? What down payment do you have? Well, I can put you in this Islam today. You know what I'm saying? And then we become like used car salesmen. What do used car salesmen also do? They lie. They twist the truth.
Yeah.
They make things look too good to be true.
Yeah.
Yes, the car has 230,000
mention
miles.
any of the
These
hardships.
cars are known to go 500. This is practically a new car.
Toyota Corolla.
And it's all highway. What highway was you on? What highway was you on, buddy?
The salesman is just high, you know.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So anyway,
But, well, one thing to add, you know, it's one of the effects of the you know, classical dawah, you know, is the intellectual change, you know, from when they have the individual dawah, you know, the revival of thinking, you know, because without that, you just get into this autonomous mode of just living life, you know. Okay, I do what I do in order to eat, sleep, or work, you know, but with the true dawah, the classical dawah, it breaks you free from that, and you actually get a clear understanding of why I'm here in this reality, what I need to do, you know, how I need to congregate with my brothers and sisters. Like, it gives you like a purpose, and you just look around, like there are so many people lacking purpose just in the ummah, you know, who have Islam. We'll put it in air quotes. Who have Islam, you know. So the modern dawah isn't providing people with that purpose, you know.
And it's amazing how Imam Ghazali said, "Ala in al-Quran was sultani taw'aman," that the Quran and the Sultan are twins.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, he said, "For Quran ussun," that means the Quran is the main foundation. Was Sultan Haris is the guardian, like the guard. فَمَا لَا أُسَّ لَهُ فَمَهَدُمْ. Whatever doesn't have a foundation, it's destroyed, right? وَمَا لَا حَارِسَ لَهُ فَضَاعَ. Whatever doesn't have the guard to protect is lost. Imam Ghazali, subhanAllah, mentioned this.
Ah, man, that metaphor right there is powerful.
It's like what Uthman Radiallahu said. He said that the Sultan puts the fear in the hearts of those that the Quran does not. So let's say you are of the Ahl Dhimma, Jew, Christian, whatever, living in Islamic, under Islamic rule. You don't fear Allah, right? But you fear the penalty of the Sultan. Just like we live in democratic society, we fear the penalty of a traffic ticket. We fear of course, it's going to be traffic in Islamic State, but I'm saying, you know, we fear this, we fear that. You know, a lot of times Islam may say, you know, you can put somebody's head to bed, and we may not because of the penalty of the system over us, you know, won't allow us to do so, right? So again, he said the Sultan puts the fear in the hearts of those that the Quran does not. Who else it puts the fear in the hearts of? These Muslims that really don't have Iman, but they're Muslim by Shahada.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
these Shahadas, basically. They know there's a Sultan over them, so that causes them to act right, which is a benefit for them.
Yeah.
Because you take those, you take a good Muslim, put him in a society like this, and then you'll start to see crookedness in him, you know, that he wouldn't have in a society where he was protected from it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you take a weak Muslim in Muslim lands and put him in a society like this. Now they're in their Jannah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, they said the sisters from Saudi would get on the plane, and this is not just Saudi, other places. They get on the plane. They say as soon as they get on the plane, they pull it off.
Take it all off.
But the whole time, you know, they were munaqaba. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They were straight niqabis. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But then they got on the plane. They said they pull it off. Then they land and they see one of some indigenous African American sister with the hijab on. MashaAllah, are you Muslim? Yes. How long you been Muslim? Oh, about 3 years. You wasn't born Muslim? No. You wear hijab? Oh, MashaAllah, you MashaAllah.
They didn't do that.
Close to it.
That's the edited version, right?
Edit version, yeah.
No. They just, bamba.
Bomba. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
Yeah, I'm saying like they so impressed by this person that lives in Dar Kufr,
Yeah.
just like their Dar Kufr, but they just don't know it because they had that. So you know they're like they took theirs off on the plane. They got off the plane and saw somebody with it on.
You're like, what?
You know,
I came here to.
Yeah.
What's the rule on the dawah? Is it
what
wajib?
makes
Is it
Muslim?
fard? Is it wajib? Is it fard? Is it fard ayn? Fard kifaya? Because fard kifaya means that if you does it and they fulfill it, then the itham is dropped from the rest of the ummah, like the janazah salah. If you does it, then the sin is dropped from the rest of the ummah.
I haven't studied enough to say if it's fard kifaya or what type of fard, but I do know that da'wah is fard. You know, what do you guys have to say about that?
it has to be because of the order. Udu ila sabili, you know, يدعون إلى الخير فلذلك فادعوا واستجيبوا لله ولرسوله إذا دعاكم لما يحييكم. You know, and many other ayat in Quran is telling us to make the dawah, give the dawah. Even it calls the dawah, you know, to that which gives you life. If you look at our condition is death and gloom.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
ummah wise.
Yeah.
Okay. So it says, give your respond to Allah and His Messenger when they call you to that which will give you
Like,
إِذَا دَعَكُمْ لِمَا يُحْيِيكُم, when they
Yes.
invite you to what will give you life.
Yeah.
Right?
So that is al-asl. That is
Yeah.
like the main.
Yeah.
But to create the group, that's fard kifaya.
Yeah.
Because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ, He didn't say all of you.
Yeah.
He said, among you, some of you will make the group to call, to invite to Islam.
So there's a distinguished group from the ummah.
Yeah, because not everybody can do it.
Not everybody can do it. You have the elderly, the sick, the women. Women can do the dawah, of course.
Yeah.
But they have a higher duty than dawah.
Yeah.
Women have a higher duty than dawah. You know. Also, we learned long ago, if you are working and you're making month-to-month money, and you can't dedicate enough time to carry the dawah, right? You can make your family fit for dawah. That's your halakha, right? Make your family fit for the dawah, have them understand the deen. But they're saying that your family has a priority over you.
Yeah.
Because they got brothers. Their stories of brothers.
Oh, man.
Their stories of brothers, man.
They
Like
neglect their own family.
this is crazy, bro.
dawah starts at home, right?
This,
Like,
this brother married a woman. Both of them virgins.
Okay.
Married a woman. At the walima, certain dignitaries from the government came.
Okay.
He was told to go and speak to a certain person. And he did. His wife never slept with him. Never consummated his marriage. Matter of fact, it wasn't a walima. It was a meeting that was happening He had the wedding. His Akazawaj, had the wedding.
He had to. So he left that.
He was given an order by the Emir to go to this gathering where this government dignitary would be.
Okay.
To give him a message, to give him a pamphlet, to give him the Dawah, right?
Yeah.
He went and spoke to him, never touched his wife. Dead. Many examples like that.
Wow, man.
Many examples like that. Gaddafi didn't believe in the Sunnah. People praise him today.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Post-mortem. Isn't that great how they can reinvent you? Okay, so
Yeah. It's
so he has these verses, these arcs with verses on them above the highway. Those verses from his green book that he made up.
Yeah.
He didn't believe in the Sunnah.
Bruh.
You know what I'm saying?
Bruh.
So anyway, you ride down the road, you see Qala Gaddafi. You know what I'm saying? So you ride. So what happened was one youth told him, "Ya Gaddafi, why don't you put Quran?" And they beat him, tortured him so bad. The ruh was rising. They put him on the step of his mother. They knocked the door.
Yeah.
As soon as she opened the door, he died in front of his mother. You see what I'm saying? This is their contempt toward the Dawah. I don't know if I have it.
Yeah, I've been telling him, man. What's like,
I know, man, but you be doing
it's
stuff.
like,
Did I leave it here? No, I didn't. I don't know. I don't have it. Anyway, so that is the contempt. That is the contempt that that they have toward the
I was
Dawah.
like,
But alhamdulillah, I got
No, that is the contempt. Yeah. Like, it's subhanallah, man. I remember hearing about that story, man, and hearing that again just gave me chills, man. Like,
well, alhamdulillah, we I think we touched it. I think we gave it a certain amount of justice from the dying battery.
Yeah.
From the dying battery.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this topic would not die, would not fade away. We'll continue to talk about it, inshallah.
There's more
from different aspects. There's more to get into from it.
I'm reading this book. It's like talks about Fard Kifaya, Fard Ayn. It goes to a lot of detail. I'm marking it. So
alhamdulillah, I mean, I pray that you all have a different viewpoint, perspective of the Dawah that you've gathered from here. Any questions, concerns, correction, please
let's have a conversation.
Drop it in the comments. We can further this conversation. It's not just for social media, but it's, for actual, life. One-on-one and discussing life as Muslims, inshallah.
You tired, man? We just rode a bicycle for 30 minutes. It's so quiet.
Jibril, when he wears Puma, he acts different. I think when you wear Reebok, you act different.
but he's always in Reebok.
Yeah.
No, shout out to Jibril. Shout out to Jeremiah.
Nah, they don't shout out.
Yeah, why? They're supposed to come here. They didn't come.
Yeah, inshallah.
It's like
70 reasons.
So now we move on.
Yeah, they're like beta.
What is the sheikh? What is the sheikh?
What was the sheikh? We had a couple of sheikhs.
A lot of sheikh. Was
it the Qatari thing about the FIFA thing?
A lot of twerking. A lot of sheikh.
I was going to say twerk, yeah.
Was it the FIFA thing?
A lot of twerk.
Was it FIFA?
Yeah, because in Muslim, I mean,
we kind of talked about that earlier already, though.
Yeah,
we did mention that.
Was FIFA?
Was it FIFA?
We didn't talk about FIFA here.
I mentioned it quickly in the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, come on.
I think the Muslim going through, man. Subhanallah.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, if we talk about shaking our Muslim head, there's a lot, that's happening, that'll cause us to shake our heads, subhanAllah, in this ummah. And I mean, like you say, well, you just look toward the negative. Well, we don't have the positive.
Well,
the positive is.
I'm sorry.
The Islamic rule. We don't have it. So what are we going to do?
We talk about real quick. That was the post on Abu Tariq's.
Okay.
This brother by the name Ziyad Karim, he was talking about
Hamza Yusuf, and
he was talking about how there's an event. It's called the Prophetic Model of Education.
Yeah.
So there was Hamza Yusuf and Abdul Nasser Janda, who is part of the Qalam Institute, like an Arabic. I think it's in Houston or Dallas.
Yeah.
Another I think Hassan Kamali. So these two, teachers are good, but this brother is saying that how come you having this individual who promote the corrupt leaders, who blame the brother and sister in Syria for going against the
Assad,
Al-Haywan, right? and how you blaming them, and like why would you be in the same circle?
Yeah, like they blame them for the
Yeah.
turmoil that's happening.
Like they're the cause.
They're saying like
Yeah.
They're the cause of the unrest.
Right, so the brother saying that I was disheartened to hear of Qalam's upcoming event, the prophetic model of education, with Hamza Yusuf as a guest speaker. I find it ironic that the event is intended to be on the prophetic model of education when Islam emphasizes adala from who you take, the justice from who you take, and ilm, right? You take ilm from. At the Institute of Knowledge Ilm Inspiration Conference in 2019, Sheikh Abdul Nasser Janga himself, subhanallah, what happened? Are they listening? Where did it go? Okay. So he himself mentioned the importance of learning from the hearts of men as opposed to books. We're told about Imam Malik sitting with his teacher and learning from his adab prior to learning any ilm. It is in this spirit, as well as an eminent respect for Qalam as an institution, their instructors as example who do not pin themselves as above laity, right? And their good record of serving community that I ask, why do they not address Hamza's meeting with ADL?
What is ADL?
Anti-Defamation League.
Yeah.
The Jewish
Why do they ignore his silence despite the counsel he serves on issuing statement after statement in continuous support of normalization with the occupiers of Al-Aqsa? Why do they ignore his comments towards Palestinians as majanin? His claim that with support is absent due to their violence. Why do they ignore his comment that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala humiliated the Syrian people for their actions, peaceful protest? Why do they ignore Hamza's praise for the UAE as a tolerant civil society despite their normalization with Israel, their indiscrimination, bombing and starvation of Yemen, their maltreatment of immigrants, their quashing of protests in other countries, and their inhuman treatment of prisoners, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah. So that's it got these individuals, man, that are holding these conferences like to try to inform us of something, and it's not the information coming from these sources is not going to be the information that we need for revival. It's a lot of statistics, finger pointing. Yeah. Shouldn't have done this, shouldn't have done that. Yeah. To blame Syria itself for Syria's problem, that means we're not ummah.
Yeah.
Where's the ummah? If you say it's a Palestinian problem, Palestinians are Jews, Christians, and Muslims.
Yeah.
So if it's a Palestinian problem, what does that got to do with Islam?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Except that Islam has a solution for it. So again, this is it's the same group of individuals. The conveyor belt shayukh, the conveyor belt twerkers. They come out, they give these speeches. The blame is not placed where it should be placed. It's displaced blame.
Yeah.
It's displaced solution.
It's all betas.
It's mostly quoting statistics and things like that, and problematic this and that. But alhamdulillah, we know what the solution is. If the Muslims adopt it, they could help and work with us to resolve. Yeah. Inshallah ta'ala. But until then, our situation will perpetuate.
Yeah.
And it's not going to get any better, inshallah.
And for that,
we are shaking our Muslim head.
All right, tomorrow's session.
Tomorrow
7 p.m.
is Al Manosphere. Muslims in the Manosphere. Haram or nah? Haram or nah? Gotta discuss it because, when I see the Muslims being influenced, from a certain perspective, then I have to address it. It don't matter who it angers or who it makes,
Speak the haqq.
Yeah, I don't have to mention names specifically, but I tend to get into names. But yeah, it's something to discuss because the manosphere is a whole thing. It's a whole thing. This red pill thing, so on and so forth. And it's good to be awoke and awakened to certain issues, but Islam is the highest awakening.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You can't get woker in Islam.
Yeah.
Now you might be turning a corner. There's a pit bull. Somebody say, "Hey, don't turn that corner. It's a pit bull." You say, "Oh man, good looking out."
And this is not just with this so-called manosphere, because I read a lot of business books and I do recommend them. Right. So in the business community, what I've noticed among the Muslim, they follow certain people like Tony Robbins and Brandon Bishop and all these people, right? They read their books. Brian Tracy has some benefit, but they end up like put them in what do you call it? Pedestalize them. Like, why?
Making them idols,
Take the
basically.
good, leave the bad, and take the good and apply it on your life and move on, right? Even when I recommend, I don't put them like oh I'm gonna cry for you, but this happens everywhere, even within the so-called other groups and whatnot, right? So we have to be very careful. We read their books, alhamdulillah, we take the benefit from it, whatever context Islam we put on the side and move on. But I don't know. I've noticed that some people just stick to it so much that they praise those individuals and they forget Islam because now all the conversation became them.
Yeah.
Or their language
the,
or their
the
talk.
problem I have is that a lot of these people, I don't care how well they speak Arabic, didn't have an Islamic hold upon the concepts. They didn't have an Islamic hold upon the concepts. Then they got into the manosphere and felt like they were awakened. See, Islam woke me up before. I knew my role. I knew the woman's role.
Yeah.
If I can't find a woman within that mode, I have to look.
Yeah.
And I know there's Indonesia, Philippines, Singapore. I know there's Morocco and places I could go and find a wife that's on that.
Yeah.
She's on that. I might not find her next door.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I might not find her next door. But Allah's earth is spacious. We can move ourselves away from fitna.
Sahih.
You know? So inshallah, we're black minds.
Black mind.
Hey, we're on low battery, so if it blacks out, we're not blacking out on you, black minds.
That's the one thing I want to see tomorrow, inshallah, because I don't want to mistakenly anger Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while trying to tell men not to be deceived by the wicked witches of the West.
MashaAllah. I like that.
That's tight.
Put that
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa
Put
barakatuhu.
power.
MashaAllah.
power.
I like
They
it.
put the brand power.
Yeah, so inshallah, because what I'm noticing, not only adopting the concepts that were sprung
Yeah.
by the kuffar, right? But the language,
Yeah.
you'll notice
Yeah,
the
we're
Muslims
also
adopting the
adopting
language.
that.
Like Islam don't influence any of that.
Yeah, because when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ Ahl al-dhikr here doesn't mean just Muslim. It can be
Yeah.
Jews, it can be anybody has the
Yeah,
knowledge.
yeah, anybody has the knowledge.
We're just saying that whatever knowledge you seek from, just make sure that your principle, your aql is aqidah 100% stuck,
Exactly.
right? Don't become like what do you